Us.
Thank you for having us, Molly.
I'm very excited to have you here in studio today. So, Cynthia is with the Puerto Rican Professionals Association of Rhode Island, and the organization works to unite, support, and empower Puerto Ricans in Rhode Island. So, we're going to talk a little bit today about the informational fair that the association is putting on later on in April. So we're going to talk all about that. So let's start off by talking about why the informational fair is important. Talking about why the organization is hosting this fair and why it's important to get out correct information, accurate information to people.
Well, Molly, thank you so much for having us, first of all. And I'm glad that you asked that question because of Hurricane Maria, we know that many families have decided to move to the United States, specifically Rhode Island. And we noticed in the Puerto Rican Association of Rhode Island that we were helping a lot of families with pretty much informing them, informing them where to go. If they were looking for English as a second language classes, they didn't even know where to begin. So we noticed that they were very uninformed about simple things, just like where can I go to change my identification card, and the whole process behind not just having that reciprocity among the DMV in the United States and the one in Puerto Rico. It's another process that if we had to get educated, with the process so that we could explain it to them because it's very complicated. And so we kept noticing this pile of, emails and notes and where can I go to get, this information for my children, or where can I go if I am a patient and I need a dialysis. And so we think it's very necessary for the families who have moved to the state of Rhode Island to know where to go and to know all the agencies that this state has in place to help them, to provide support, and also to guide them.
So let's talk a little bit about what will be at the informational fair. Again, this is Saturday, April 28th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the John H. Rollins Center in Providence. Address is 325 Ocean Street in Providence. And of course, we'll have a link to this as well as the address and whatnot online. But let's talk a little bit about what the information is providing and why that's important, because this was strategically planned out. What type of information will be there? Which agencies will be there? Talk about a little bit about the strategic plan that went into this.
So we have, in the association, we have different teams. And we decided that one team really had to decide what information was needed, and then we planned agencies and obviously a focal point so that it's not a lot of information, but nothing to keep up with the people who come during that day to see the progress of this. So we have, for example, we have people from Providence Schools. We have a representative who's going to come and join us Saturday, April 28th, and he's going to explain what is the process, what documents need to be in place for the student to join the Providence school system. We will have people from the Bank of America, for example, to explain what needs to be done in order to open an account. We will have physicians who will provide information about where to go if they are current patients of a specific treatment in Puerto Rico and how they can continue that here, which is so important. So we have from all different fields. We have from education, ESL programs. We have Bank of America. We have a credit agency that can help them continue building their credit and work with lapses of unemployment, perhaps. We will have representatives from agencies from the community that can help with, for example, the Rhode Island Food Bank. And so we have all these different agencies. We actually have about 32 that are trying to give these families the tools so that when they decide to establish themselves here in the state, they know what they can do, where to go. If they want to learn English, we have about 5 different ESL programs who are going to be there. There will be employment agencies guiding them and telling them where to go, what documents they need. Like I mentioned before, the bank, the credit agencies. We will have representatives from Progreso Latino, which is an organization that helps you with anything related to migration policies. They help you with establishing yourself in different sections of Providence, but also the state. So housing representatives will be there too. And like we mentioned, we're just trying to put all these agencies together to help those families who have moved to Rhode Island recently. But then we realized once we set the team and we noticed that all these agencies were trying to help, we realized that this is actually beneficial not only for Puerto Ricans who are moved to the state of Rhode Island, but also families from other backgrounds. We have our brothers and sisters from Dominican Republic, Mexico, Guatemala, the crisis in Venezuela. We have a lot of people moving from Venezuela as well. So we are extending our invitation to any person who is either considering living in the state of Rhode Island or who are actually living in the state of Rhode Island and simply want to know what agencies, what resources we have in place so that they can have a successful life in this state.
And I think you make such a solid point there that opening this up to people of all backgrounds as well. What I think is what can be so difficult for people is if you have family here, especially people from Puerto Rico that are coming here, if you have family here, it can make the transition a little bit easier.
Yes.
So that can be helpful. But if you don't know anyone, if you don't have family, it can be so extremely difficult. So in organizations that you're involved in, this can mean a lot. So just having someone that you can say, oh, do you remember this place? Or I'm from this neighborhood or something like that. Or just someone that literally speaks your language so you can have a translator or you can get signed up for a class. Or talk to me about why this is so important for people that are coming from Puerto Rico and need these services.
Well, just like you mentioned, a simple detail as you speak my language. We could have very different backgrounds, and the fact that you speak my language makes me feel immediately at home. It makes me feel capable of transmitting messages that maybe get lost in translation, and with that, your confidence is gone. If you don't have confidence, your chances of getting a really good job are lower. And details like that, like finding someone with whom you can speak your language and really explain, this is my problem, this is my situation, this is what my family and myself included are going through, and we don't know what to do or where to go. It makes a big positive impact in the life of someone who is trying to establish themselves here in the state to help the state. They are moving here with the intention of finding a job, enrolling their kids in school, and continuing with their lives here. Because, as we all know, even though the statistics say that 10% or less than 10% of the population in the island still has no power, we feel that the impact is larger than that. The impact on their daily life, the impact on the education of these kids who have been out of school for so long. So it's like this domino effect when you move into a place and you find that there's not only a person who can speak your language, but that can have answers to your questions. And just like you mentioned also, the fact that we have a lot of people who move here because we have family or friends, but we also have a large population who move here because they have a friend who ultimately doesn't really live here, but they establish themselves here, so they are completely alone. And with those in mind, we really want to extend our invitation and say, listen, the original idea came to us because of the Hurricane Maria and because we see so many families moving into Rhode Island. But this is something that can help everyone, myself included. I moved here 20 years ago, and as I was going down the list, I realized, oh my goodness, like all these resources, and there were a few that I was not aware of. So I know that this is going to be extremely helpful to everyone who lives here, whether it's just recently moved or who have been established and living here for perhaps a little longer.
Definitely beneficial. So again, that is coming up. The informational fair is coming up Saturday, April 28th from 10 to 2 at the John H. Rollins Center in Providence. So I definitely think this is great. And sometimes people think, oh, information fair, I don't know, but there's so much opportunity here, so many resources. So definitely take advantage. Tell your friends, tell your family, go over. And like you said, information, health, education, mental health, employment. So many different opportunities, jobs.
Exactly.
So Cynthia was telling us lots of different opportunities there. I do want to shift gears from the information fair to talk a little bit about the aftermath of the hurricane. The Professional Association has been doing a lot. You yourself have been back to Puerto Rico, kind of checking things both personally and professionally. The organization has raised money, has raised donations. Talk to us just a little bit about, we're almost 7 months after now. More of a slow recovery rather than emergency relief situation that we're in right now. But just give us some thoughts a little bit on what it was like for you to go back to Puerto Rico. And we can talk about it in a professional sense if you want to, or a personal sense. It's up to you.
Yes, sure. Well, personally, the sense of urgency of going back to the island and just physically checking up on my mother, for example. She tends to paint a really nice picture over the phone. Everything is fine, but then when you actually go there and see that, for example, some structures are not safe to be around, that you have, for example, no traffic light working, which is causing many accidents. You see most of the population, when I first went back in December, had no power. And so the first thing that comes to your mind is this desperation of what can I do from here? So personally, it was shocking to go to your island, which in your mind is paradise, and go back and see that, the level of destruction. To think that not one light post, not one tower, communication tower was left standing. Puerto Rico was for 1 week completely incommunicated because all the towers were down. That is something that, living in the Caribbean, we hear hurricane season just like we hear rain or snow here. It's like, okay, we'll deal with it. But to see that level of destruction personally was something that it took me months to really take a grasp of the level of destruction that when you read it is one thing, but when you go back there and you see it, it causes shock in the sense of I could have never imagined something like this. Professionally, I have to say that it served as a motivation to the Professional Association of Rhode Island to kind of like shift gears and say, we're focused on the professionals here in Rhode Island. It's time to focus on our island, our homeland, and see what we can do. Well, Molly, the reaction from everyone in the city of Providence was unbelievable. We had the expectation of about 1 full truck of donations, clothing, medical supplies, water bottles. We ended up filling up 5 trucks. And we first sent half of the team to Puerto Rico. In December, we sent the first half of the supplies. And back in January, then we sent the other half. And so both personally and professionally, it was really good to feel that even though we left our home back in Puerto Rico, we have neighbors here in the state of Rhode Island and in the city of Providence who turn into family with us. It's the support that we had, the level of donations. It didn't matter if they were Dominicans, if they were Cubans, if they were Guatemalans. They were going to Armando's where we had our drive, and they were bringing bottles and asking us, how can we do, this is all I have, but how can I help? It was so overwhelming that it made us feel like, you know what, we have 2 homes. We have Puerto Rico, but this state and this city is unbelievable when it comes to really show support and stepping up. So it has been so rewarding, personally and professionally, the reaction of the city of Providence.
I mean, that's incredible. I'm just going to let you keep talking because I'm over here crying. And I have to say how rewarding. So, and here we are, almost 7 months out.
Yes.
You said around 10% of the island doesn't have power still, which is what it is. Talk to us a little bit about what else the professional association is doing. It's my understanding you've had a scholarship, so just kind of continuing that giving back to the community and continuing to move forward in this recovery effort in whatever way it is, hurricane or not. So continuing to promote and thrive.
So we have this scholarship program, and we decided last year that we were going to pick 2 students from the school system in Providence that could show some type of pride for their Hispanic heritage, because they don't have to be Puerto Rican. And so we built this list of requirements where they have to write an essay, and they have to have letters of recommendation from their teachers, and they have to have a set GPA. And we gave to students the opportunity of earning a scholarship. That it was more like a trial last year. This year it's a lot better established and with more money. And so this is just one way that the Puerto Rican Professional Association of Rhode Island is trying to give back to the community. The same way that the community gave us so much support and supplies for Hurricane Maria and our relief trip to Puerto Rico, we want to let the community know that we want to help in any way. And what better way than empowering our youth and letting them know that education is the most powerful tool they can earn. And so we want to remind them that we value their education, that we believe in them, and I think ultimately with money for their college education is the best way we can say that. So we have 2 scholarships. This year, we are hoping to earn enough money or raise enough money for 5 to be able to help 5 high school students who have been accepted into any post-secondary education institution. So this is just one way that we're trying to give back to the youth of our community.
I think that's absolutely incredible. And like you said, any amount for education is incredible.
Absolutely.
And very worthwhile.
Yes.
If people are interested in going to the informational fair, again, later on this month, we'll have a link to that. If people are interested in donating to relief or interested in getting more information in the professional association, what's the best way to do that?
So we have a very active Facebook page. We have a lot of people sending us messages, especially now that we have the informational fair on Saturday the 28th of April, asking us how can we help? Can we be a volunteer guiding people or setting up tables and chairs for the sponsors? And so they can either like us on Facebook, and we answer every single message that we receive, but they can also call my number. My number is, if I'm allowed to give it,
if you really want to give out your number, sure.
Yes. Well, it's the best way for the sponsors to communicate with me, because sometimes the messages, we have so many people looking into them that I assume someone else answered. So if you want to receive more information, feel free to call 401-419-7854, and we will answer all the questions. If you have questions from how to get involved or how to help, feel free. Again, the number is 401-419-7854, or you can like our page on Facebook, which is the same initials. It's Puerto Rican Professionals Association of Rhode Island, and we answer all of the messages.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you for all that you've done within the community.
Thank you,
and
guys.
The informational fair looks to be fantastic. So
yes.
Again, open to many communities.
Yes, please.
So thank you so much for joining us, Cynthia, here on GoLocal Live. We're wrapping up. Kate Nagel kicks things off here in just a few minutes with all things news, politics, and more. I'm Molly O'Brien. We're wrapping up for today. I hope you have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Molly.